just feels like if you have a starting pitcher that is more of a pitch to contact guy, you're not going to have much success against the Chicago Cubs in the year 2025.
No, well, plain and simple, you can't expect to win a game when you score 0 runs. I feel like, Stefan, in the history of baseball, I don't think that's ever happened where a team has won a game when scoring 0 runs, and the Cardinals are now, what is it, 25 innings that they're at the moment. So it's a struggle all around right now. And yeah, Palante pitched. I mean, when you look at it overall, like, okay, gave up a home run, a solo shot. That's fine. You can live with giving up solo shots, and then put himself into a bit of a situation, loading the bases, walking in a run. But that was it. Limited it to that, and was able to pitch around and get himself out of that situation.
Well, and if you are a St. Louis fan, it's like we've said all series long, pick your poison. Do you want to get the starter out of the game, or do you want to leave him in and hope that the bullpen has an off night? They're both so talented. Imanaga, at first start off the IL, 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs. I mean, he was sensational for the Chicago Cubs. But then you look at the bullpen. Look at some of these numbers that they're rolling out here. They go with Thielbar, who's got a 2.03 ERA. Keller, who's got a 1.96. Drew Pomeranz is yet to surrender an earned run this year. And Daniel Palencia at a 1.86. I mean, this is probably the best bullpen in baseball, the best relief corps in baseball. And if you can't get traction against them in the early stages of the game, you're probably not going to win. And that's what happened the last 2 nights for St. Louis. But going back to Palencia,
I want to dive in on Palencia. Yeah, go ahead.
You might have poked the sleeping bear a little bit with Wilson Contreras, and I don't think that was his best choice. I'm not suggesting that in any way he was trying to hit Contreras. Hitting him put the tying run at the plate, but you have a chance to get retribution in a few short days. I wouldn't have been doing all that smack talking, because if there's anybody who can create his own energy, it's Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, that's I think what that was initially. I mean, you know it. You've talked to guys. I mean, it's not a matter. Sometimes you're not mad that you don't accuse a guy of throwing at you. It's more a case of you're upset that the pitcher at a major league level doesn't have the control to not hit you. That's what you're more pissed off about, to where you're sitting there, you go, you know what, you're in the big leagues. You have, you're one of 13 guys in that bullpen. Throw a ball, have better control than that, to where you're not, if you're going to, if you're going to throw, don't throw up and in on that. So it's more a case of just being pissed off at the fact that, hey, you shouldn't be at this level right now. You should, if you're going to miss like that, go back down to AA and miss on those guys at that level. Because if you're going to throw 101, you have to be responsible with it, at being able to throw 101 in a game. So, and Wilson Contreras is absolutely a self-starter when it comes to that. He is looking for a reason to get pissed off. He's looking for a reason to fire himself up, and then the rest of the team around him. The comments the other day of say, the Cardinals have a better organization than the Cubs. That's purely to say, hey, I used to be there. Now I'm here. I'm all in on this organization right now, and firing you up that way. I cannot wait for the first inning of that first game coming up on the 4th of July next week.
And it's a powder keg for Contreras, who did not have his best series. He was awfully quiet in comparison to the rest of the lineup, and you know that he is going to take a huge amount of the blame internally. He's the guy that is the one that says, you know what, I'm going to own up to it. I'm the heart and soul of this team, and I expect him to bounce back in a big way at Wrigley Field in just a few short days. Now, there are 2 ways you can look at this series. You could look at it as saying, hey, they split it when they had the opportunity to win, but you could also look at it as the Cardinals were relatively offensively dominant through the first 2 games. And thank goodness they won the second game, which was a 1-run victory, because this very easily could have been a 3-1 series win for the Cubs. Now you get the 2-2 series split. Yes, there was a comment that they got complacent after game 2. I don't know that that's fair to the Cardinals. They faced 2 of the best starting pitchers in the National League, 2 left-handed pitchers who we know the Cardinals have struggled against outside of Burleson, Arenado, and Contreras. And you still split the series and have a chance to play these guys in a few days. Now, Playing them at Wrigley versus playing them at Busch Stadium are two very completely different things. Atmospherically, I think the Cubs are going to have a big advantage. Offensively, I think the Cubs are going to have a big advantage. And you're probably going to have to wonder, where in the rotation are you going to be? Sonny Gray not pitching today was a huge, huge factor. It was. It was a big factor of this game because Sonny Gray gets deeper into games typically than Palante does. Now you get him tomorrow for the Guardians series. You stop this slide, and hopefully he can turn out a good performance and they can get back on track.
Yeah, and I would, yesterday, the lefty Boyd that you faced yesterday, yeah, he's been phenomenal. He has picked up the slack that they have needed with not having Amanaga and Steele in their rotation all season long. But today, facing a guy who hasn't made a start in Major League Baseball in about 7 weeks, that's one that it hurts. Like you don't, like, if you're the Cubs, you feel like you might have stole a win in this one, getting him back and having him pitch a solid, 5 1/3 that he went today without allowing a run. So it one hit really, and then two in that. So it's one of those where you want to come into that and you want to say, okay, hey, you're back. Great. You threw 70 pitches. We scored 4 runs against you in those, and the Cardinals not being able to do that hurt them. And somebody in the comments too, throwing out there, I blame the lack of right-handed hitters. This is what you and I were talking about before the show, that yes, the Cardinals have struggled to hit lefties. They're going to struggle a heck of a lot more when you don't have Ivan Herrera and Jordan Walker available to you. And that hurts more than anything, because that is just, I mean, for the time being, for the next, I don't know how long you're out with an appendicitis. We know it's 2 to 5 weeks. I mean, we probably won't see Herrera until after the All-Star break. So I think right now, I mean, I don't want to look ahead at some of the rotations for these teams coming up and see what lefties are on the horizon, because it's going to be tough moving forward.
Yeah, and that makes you wonder, what do they do at the trade deadline? Do they go and get another right-handed bat purely to just keep their chances alive and keep this thing afloat? Maybe you get somebody that, you can get off of waivers, or you go for the big shot. I'm looking at a guy like Luis Robert, who has certainly lost a good bit of value in the market because of his struggles at the plate. Can you, maybe work him back into the fold if you're a Cardinals fan? He seems like he'd be a good fit, but that's all conjecture, and we'll figure out what the Cardinals do a little bit later on. But I want to talk about the Cardinals' strategy at the plate. Typically, you see very good work. You see them have a good game plan. The first inning, it looked like great. 20 pitches in the first inning. Love that. It stopped there. A lot of early in the count swings. Brendan Donovan, the entire series, has been swinging at the first or second pitch, and I've seen a lot of rollovers to first or second, which is totally uncharacteristic. He's in a bit of a cold spell. If you're one of the more disciplined hitters, you got to be disciplined at the plate, especially against a pitcher like Imanaga. And that's not to take away anything from the guys. You'd much rather record a hit than a walk, but sometimes it's okay to record a walk in a tight game like today was.